John, I want to ask you a follow-up question here because I don't know if you've seen some of the feedback, some of the criticisms, and I even put this in my review as a a piece of criticism and feedback here. The magnetic bases. So I don't know if you can speak to this. I don't know if this is user error on the part of collectors like myself, or maybe it's something with the magnetic bases that can be improved in the future. I want to share an image here, and I can't. Yeah, I can't actually verify the authenticity of the person and whether it's real or not, whether they just threw their figure down on the floor. I don't know. I can say, though, John, that my figure took a tumble similar to this. And I don't know if this is something that, it's user error. Maybe I didn't read the instructions well enough. But I'm wondering, John, can you speak to the future of magnetic bases for InArt? Because for a lot of people, they're working. For some people, they're not. So I don't know if maybe, there's something that can be improved there. Maybe the use of like a little peg in the base with a crotch grabber, but you can use the magnet if you want to. Maybe the magnet can be bigger. Have you heard anything from the InArt production team about any of this?
So I think the difference from last year to this year, just from the team's approach, is last year we were doing a lot of talking, telling everyone who we are, what we plan to do.
Gotcha.
And that's why we're on a lot more streams. This year it's more about listening. Because we've got physical product shipping now, so it's less about this is who we are, what we're going to do. We just need to listen. Okay, that's what's going wrong. This is what needs to be done. Here are the changes. So we didn't invent magnetic bases. Other companies have done it, but it's something that we really want to stick to because we think it's a big part of the display experience. When you've got like a crotch grabber or something like that, it really takes away from the display. There are people that have, like Justin, for example, when we had a live stream before, Justin did like the blizzard test kind of thing where he lifted it upside down.
Yeah.
And it held, the magnets held. And most of the magnets, 99% of the time, are strong enough. Sometimes it could be user error. When we're in Las Vegas, when we're in Thailand, it sometimes is a little bit harder to get it in the right position. So I think it's something we'll be looking at in the future. And if the instructions aren't up to scratch, then we need to get that feedback, and we can do digital versions and send those out, put them on our website so people can download them. So that's basically what we need to do now. We stand by that the magnetic basis that is our best option, and I think there could be user error, but we can't speak for every case because I've seen photos online and we can't see all of the right stuff, and because it's a lot of hype around this figure, you don't know what's true and what's not. So we have to wait for the real collective feedback to come back, and then we can say, okay, each case might be slightly different. Sometimes it's user error, sometimes it's not. We have to listen to the customer, and if it's our instructions, then we need to issue some better and clearer instructions.
Yeah, and that makes sense, John. The one thing that I would say, just from my experience with the figure, the magnet seems to be housed. The magnets seem to be housed in the middle of the base for this specific figure. So I don't know if it was possible maybe to have the magnets spread out, maybe across the entire base, because then I think it would hold it a little bit better. Than your posing options are a little bit limited when there's like a couple small magnets in the middle, and that's where you have. And they're strong magnets. Don't get me wrong, but when the figure goes backwards or forwards, maybe if your house shakes or whatever, or if it goes side to side for whatever reason, it tends to be a little top heavy and fall. So, but that's just been my experience. Other people have had great, no issues. But I can just say, like, I love the look of the base, but it's just always, it's just a little, like in my case, I've used the crotch grabber because I don't feel like I'm completely 100% comfortable with that base the way it is. Maybe it's user error. Maybe I'm not putting the feet down correctly, but I feel like maybe, I don't know if you could pass that along, like a bigger magnet, I feel like might be helpful.
Yeah, so
that's what
that's the main thing that I noticed when I was working on working with the production piece in Thailand, US. Sometimes it was a little bit tricky because it seems to be along the middle, right?
Right.
Right in the center of the base, and it could be tricky sometimes. It takes a little bit of playing around with, but once you've got it right, it's usually strong enough and it's okay. We did have some times where someone would walk past and someone would be a little bit not clumsy, but like someone would knock into the podium and it would fall, and that could happen, of course. And I think it could even if we had stronger magnets throughout the base, it could lean forward anyway. So that's always something that could happen. But if every case is different, right? So we need to look at it, get the real collective feedback, because I don't know about this one, but we've got your feedback and it's something we can look into.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for the answer on that one, John. And I want to ask, just as far as the magnets are concerned, Does, because I've heard the criticism too with the magnets, because it's really, really cool and it definitely is an innovative thing insofar as we, like you said, maybe other companies have done it, but not super well, and it's not super mainstream. And like even Hot Toys, other companies aren't really doing this very frequently. But as far as the magnets for the hands, like mine work pretty well for the most part. You have to, just read the instructions. You kind of like peg them in and magnetize at the same time. So, for the die-cast weapons, I heard some complaints about maybe the hand and the magnet not being strong enough to hold the Joker's die-cast weapon. So I don't know if there's a possibility, maybe, do you guys know of any InArt team production about, making the magnet stronger for the hands so they can hold heavier weapons? Like maybe you had a character with a die-cast sword or the Joker with a die-cast gun. Is there any sort of discussion about that going on?
Right now, the collecting feedback, because we started shipping in around December time, around then. So not a lot's been said. There's still, because we get the prototypes and we've been testing for a while. So we do know, and we've tried to overcome certain problems. We've chosen very strong magnets already, and it is like a peg magnet kind of thing, but it's not a peg as such. From our experience, we haven't had too many problems. So it could be it could be certain pieces might not be as strong. So it's hard to comment right now, but the biggest thing we're doing is collecting that feedback and analyzing and seeing what went wrong in that case. Have you had the same problem?
Yeah, a little bit, not too bad though. With the I don't have my Joker currently holding the gun, and I will say, John, I just want to be clear about this. The figure itself is phenomenal. The only criticisms I had were, for one, maybe I'm just really dumb with this, but getting the head on the body was a little bit difficult. That was challenging. And you guys put out a video, and that was amazing that you did that. But, getting the collar up and putting the head on the body, I was like, oh my God. Once I got it on, I was thrilled with how it looked. With the magnets, with the hand magnets, I was like, I don't know. I feel comfortable enough with it. But like you said, if you were to bump into the table or the display or whatever, I feel like it could fall, the hand. But I think people maybe just rely on the magnets. You also have to kind of, like you said, it's not a peg, but you do have to kind of like shove it in there. You have to really give it a like nice push in there and let the magnet really stick. I've had a little bit of concern with that, with the magnets on the hands. Right now it's no problem because I have them holding the knife and the card. But if I had them holding the gun, I would just be careful not to like bump into anything, because the magnets are strong, but they're not like, I don't, because you guys are Queen Studios first. The magnets on statues, they're obviously bigger, but those things are secure, and then this feels like a little less so. Maybe because it's smaller. I don't know.
We are using, that's why we're confident in the magnet strength, because we're using similar magnets.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's, and it can hold polystone, and it can hold heavy polystone in some cases, depending on the character, right? So in most of the time, we've not had any issues. So with the Joker head situation, we did see that feedback. So that's why we created the video. So with this situation, maybe that connection might not be there. So it's very difficult to comment on every single case, because from our experience, it's been fine. So maybe it's a case of showing people. Sometimes it's a little bit fiddly and you have to play around with it. And that's maybe what we need to do next, is to show this is how you get the right connection. And then in some cases, it could be just a fault, but we don't know until we get that individual feedback. So go to the InArt group, the Facebook page, Instagram, send us a message with the problems and we'll look into it.
Perfect.
But the bumping into things, I think most of the time, most people aren't like lunging into their, their cabinets. So it's just usually when we had the displays in Las Vegas, Thailand, you got a lot of people walking around. But yeah, we've got glass cases in the office with the Joker, and it's been fine. And it's been there for 3 or 4 months, no issues.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it depends. We can't comment on every case situation, right? And that's what people probably want from me to say today. But
I understand.
But it's hard. It's hard because there's so many. The thing is with figures, there's so many variations of poses. There's so many options. It's very hard to say, oh, this is the exact problem. So we'll just have to listen, and then if it's a general problem, we can create a video or an explainer to help.
Right. Yeah, and I totally understand that. Yeah, with the magnets, yeah, to me, like if they were just a little bit stronger, I would be a little bit, I feel a little bit safer because for me as a collector, maybe I'm a little bit paranoid. Like if something falls or I'm just like a little worried about it. A crotch grabber, we know that thing's, like you said, it limits the immersion a little bit, but that thing is
Mm,
rock steady. Like it ain't going anywhere. But with a
mm.
magnetic base, it's just, you got to make sure the feet are perfectly planted and, it looks so much more real, but you really, I guess, got to take your time and make sure it's on there, right? Because yeah. But like you said, with you guys have no issues. And there's been plenty of collectors who've been getting the Joker and been absolutely thrilled and using the magnetic base. I know me and a few others had some issues, but it just depends. Like you said, maybe it's user error, maybe it's the
But it,
pose.
like you said, it's not been done mainstream.
Yeah, no.
So maybe a lot of collectors just, it takes time to get used to it. Like if you get a new phone, like when people started getting smartphones, for example, that was like the next thing up. It takes time to get used to using it, and it could be that. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but it could be that in some cases where you just have to get used to posing it a certain way, attaching certain things because it's so different to before. And I think there's benefits to the pegs that other companies use, but the reason why we're not using that is because when the pegs go wrong, that causes a big issue as well. Like if you go online and you Google like replacement pegs, there's all sorts of forums and feeds. So we're trying to eliminate that, and there's going to be some cases where it's the user's got to learn, and we've got to help you guys to try and figure this out.